Hello and welcome to Placing Talent with Physemp. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Paul Strabel, Sales and Marketing Director here at Physicians Employment. Wanted to focus in a little bit on the database today. It's one of the key services that we offer here at Physemp. And so we wanted to make sure that there was a clear understanding of, first of all, what the database is and how we choose to organize the information in there, why we make the choices that we do. I think it'll answer a lot of questions that people might have about the service. So first of all, what is it? How is it created? First thing to know is that our database started around 30 years ago in 1994 when the site launched. The thing is built essentially by seeing advertisements online. Physicians can then choose to apply to a job and we give them the opportunity to opt into our database. They can also come to the site on their own volition and create a profile with us, create a public profile, which will end up in the database. And that way we know everybody's essentially coming here on their own. It's their choice to end up in the Physemp database. That's really important to us because it essentially implies our database is already fundamentally different than a lot of the other ones you might encounter in this landscape. Those of which are going to be purchased leads, they might solicit those leads. We don't do that. Anybody that ends up in our database has come in on their own volition. The candidates that are coming, they're creating a profile, they're giving us contact information like email, like phone, oftentimes their physical address. And so those things are automatically going to be, important to the users. But we also go extra steps to verify that individual candidate. When they're coming in, we're helping them flush out the profile by giving us their specialty, their areas, choices of importance. So they might come in, for example, and say, I'm interested in cardiology jobs in New York and New Jersey. That's a great start. And then we have that built into the profile so that when you search in our database, and if you're trying to find a cardiologist who's looking for work in New York or New Jersey, we can automatically present that information to you with the CV attached. Physemp still has the highest CV rate in this industry. It's over 85%. And we work very hard to get those. If a physician comes, starts a profile and puts some information in there, but doesn't include their CV, we actually actively reach out to them and say, hey, look, your chances of finding a job are going to be significantly better if you can put your CV with this profile. So we do work to get those, and that helps us have that high CV rate. One of the other things I think that's important to talk about, how are we different from our competitors? That's one of the questions that I get most as the sales and marketing director here. How is the Physemp database different? Well, when you're comparing us to major competitors, the biggest, most obvious difference right off the bat is that we are the smallest database. We organize our database differently fundamentally than our competitors, and it becomes the most difficult to get into. So whereas other sources might buy or solicit leads, we do not do that. Everybody comes in on their own, first and foremost. Second of all, we have the shortest selection of time that those profiles are presented to you. So not only are we working with people to make sure that, these are the physicians that they say they are, we're also making sure that they have applied to a job, they have good contact information. We know that they, came to us within the last year and that they're actively looking. So our cutoff time period is 1 year. You have to, once they apply to a job and or create a profile to enter the database, we give them a 1-year time period. If they're continuing to actively look for jobs during that time, we'll keep them in. We drop them out if they have not accessed the site during that time. We chose that number for a couple reasons. Number one is that the 1-year drop off it gives us the best chance of knowing who's actively looking for work. A lot of our competitors choose a 3-year or longer, in some cases 7 years. They do that to basically say, we have a very large database. Now, Physemp could present an equally large database. We have all the same candidates typically coming through, but we don't organize our information that way. We want to show you who's looking right now because we feel like those are the priority candidates. And then the last thing to know about that is once they come in to the system, we drop them out. They don't necessarily just disappear into the ether. More on that later about what happens to those candidates after they exit the database, if you will. We then, last thing kind of note on that is that 1 year time period was a little bit chosen because of the residents that do enter the job marketplace. We wanted people to feel like, hey, as residents are approaching the end of their terms, they may be applying to jobs as they're getting close to graduation of residency. Now, a lot of times they find those opportunities coming out of school, and then they're not looking for work anymore within a year of that initial process. And so that was part of the reason we chose that time frame as well. It's worked for us over the years. It's been able to give us kind of a very distinct niche in this marketplace. We are the site that provides the people who are actively looking shortest time frame, best contact information, because we know it's within the last year that they gave it to us. Whereas if you're looking at somebody 7 years behind, maybe that's not the same phone, maybe that's not the same email. They might have had 3 or 4 different jobs since that resume was uploaded. You just aren't sure. So that's the way we're kind of taking that approach. That's the biggest difference in how our database differs from our competitors. But we know that it's working. The renewal rate on our plans is very, very good. So we're proud of that. We're proud of that ROI that we pass on to the customers. So one more thing we can kind of discuss here is, is that all that we're doing? And it's not. The database is presenting to you a selection of the candidates that pass through Physemp. And what I mean by that is those are the public profiles. Physicians give us permission to create a public profile for them, so they have people reaching out to them to say, I think we might have something that will work for you. They're in a public database. But we also have thousands of physicians who, for a number of reasons, might not want to have a public-facing profile. They still want to work with Physemp because they want to be notified about opportunities and jobs that might be of interest to them. So what they do, they create a profile with us, they create an account, but they indicate to us, I don't want to be public-facing. Why would they do that? One, maybe they don't want to be, contacted by recruitment firms. Maybe they don't want to be contacted by hospital recruiters to say, hey, we have something for you. They want to be the ones in control of which jobs they're talking to people about. That's the first one. The second one, of course, is maybe they don't want their employer to know that they're looking for work. So they just want to be notified about opportunities. And that's part of our matching system here at Physemp. We are marketing jobs based on the specialties and locations that physicians tell us they're interested in. I'm looking for a cardiology opportunity in New York. So when you post that cardiology job in New York through our service, we are actually actively marketing that email, within an email, marketing that job to them so they know about it. Then there's the third tier that we have. We have many, many physicians that come to Physicians Employment, apply to jobs, try to create profiles, and we are unable to verify who they are. And that becomes a little bit difficult. This may be because we don't have a good resume for them. We don't have an MPI number. They're not getting back to us, but we know, hey, this person is actively looking for cardiology jobs in New York at the moment, but they're not giving us any indication that their name might be a common name, Joe Smith, Mohammed Salah, for Liverpool fans out there. Those names are something that you might come across regularly, but we can't differentiate between which one is which one. Well, this one's a cardiologist, this one's an internal medicine doc. They applied to, maybe something that might have some overlap there. We're not sure who it is. That's the third tier. We market jobs to those people as well until they tell us, hey, we're not interested in hearing about these opportunities. So those are your 3 levels of marketing after, sort of the database comes into place and the public profiles. There's a lot of people within, quote unquote, our database that are hearing about your opportunities. So it goes way beyond just what you're seeing on the public side. Lastly, one thing I want to point out is that I've been focused solely on the physician side of things during this presentation. About 2.5, 3 years ago, we added a nursing database to the public side of Physemp. So not only now when you become a Physemp client, you have access to the physician database, you also can toggle between the nursing allied health side. So all things like nurse practitioners, physician assistants, and it usually works as a catch-all for anything nursing allied health. On the physician side, it's going to be strictly MDs and DOs. You can toggle between those, and they both work exactly the same way in terms of the things and the details we've discussed so far. So again, our database is a proven resource. We have a better than 85% renewal rate. We're very proud of that. The ROI is good. We've got a long history in this industry. We've been at this over 30 years, so we do have a good sense of what we're doing and how to support our clients and get them the placements they need. We do want to also point out that 85% number, on the renewal rate, they're actually more satisfied candidates who aren't renewing with us that even contribute to that 15% who aren't coming back. Maybe they only had one need. Maybe their company was absorbed by another company and they no longer exist. So there are, those are some of the big reasons that people don't come back to Physemp is we've merged with another company where they're already working with you. So we lose an account essentially on that. And that factors into that. So all that is to say that the satisfaction rate with our database subscriptions is very, very high. So if you're considering adding a resource, I think you'll be very happy with what we have here at Physemp. This has been episode 5 of Placing Talent with Physemp. I'm your host, Paul Strubel, Sales and Marketing Director here. And you can catch us in a couple weeks with episode 6. Till then, like and subscribe. That helps us a lot. You'll get more content like this. Thank you.